Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Future is Queer panel. My name is Trisha Venkatesh, and I'm a current Girl Up teen advisor from Bangalore, India. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be one of your moderators today.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Fairweather. I was a former co-chair for the Teen Advisor class, and I am the founder and CEO of Buzzcut Post. My pronouns are she and her, and I am proudly a part of the LGBTQ+ community.
Our panelists today are two incredible change makers who have used their voice and platform to advocate for the LGBTQ community, Judy Patterson and Jessamine Stanley. Before we begin with the questions, could we please have the both of you introduce yourselves with your preferred pronouns, a little bit about your work and your connection to the LGBTQ community?
Sure. You want to go first? I don't know if we can hear you.
I don't think you're audible, Jasmine.
Is it just me? Yeah, we can't hear anything you're saying. I'm going to
Technical
jump in.
difficulties.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I'll jump in. So hi, I'm Judy Patterson. This is very new to all of us doing this virtually. We wish we could be with you personally, but hopefully you can hear us and we're giving you as much of the emotion that we feel on this topic. I'm a mom of 5. I grew up in New York City, not knowing much about the depth of the LGBTQAI community. But when my third child said, "Mama, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy," I had to quickly understand that there was a whole section of life that I just wasn't tuned into. And so over the years, I've really tried to understand not only my trans son, but my genderqueer daughter and myself in a different way in a way that defies labels and heteronormative, particularly labels. And so over the years, I've now written a book on my experience as a woman coming to understand queerness. As a 50-year-old mom, changing. I've also become the chair of the board of the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, our largest LGBT organization. My entire life has sort of shifted to meet the challenge of sharing with the world what I know about our identities, particularly our gender identities. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I know we're calling in Jessamine, so hopefully her audio works.
Well, I'll fill in until she kicks in, but I can't wait for her to join us.
So I guess we'll start because our first question is actually to you, Jody. So you wrote in your book, The Bold World, about your experience raising 5 kids, learning how to parent, and becoming an advocate because your son Penelope came out as transgender. So how can we work on making the world safer and accepting for transgender individuals, and how does a parent go about talking to their child about gender and sexuality?
I think a lot of us are coming from, and I speak from experience, we're coming from a place of blind spots. I didn't have an awareness of what trans meant. I didn't have a true awareness of what gender nonconformity meant. Of course, I had seen all the negative images in film that connected gender nonconformity to something dangerous. And so when my child said, "I am not who you think I am. I'm not a girl, I'm a boy," I had to really strip away what I knew or what I had learned and sort of re-educate myself. I had to expand the people in my own life, because in order to be an ally or an advocate or someone standing next to someone in partnership, you have to really understand that person's life, right? So I think one of the things that we have to tell ourselves is that if our friend group looks just like ourselves, we're not doing justice to this movement. I had, as a cisgender mom, woman, Black woman, I had to look at my friend group on social media, for example, like Facebook, right? Everyone looked like me. Black, female, educated, upper middle class, cisgender. And at one point, I thought that was a great thing. But when I had to raise my child as a proud trans person, and I had to educate myself as someone who was going to hold no bias towards him, I had to make sure that my friend group expanded. So one year I said to my whole family, this year we're going to make new friends. You don't have to lose your old friends, but you're going to have to expand your friend group. And everyone has to be gender nonconforming, intersex, or trans. And my kids thought that was a weird and awkward moment, demanding that our new friends, take a certain form. But it is awkward to change your life, not superficially, but in a deep way. And so my friend group, through intention and awkward steps, is now very diverse, not just ethnically, not just demographically, not just economically, but also in terms of gender identity. And I think that's important for us as people who we can't really help someone over there. This is a we thing. We have to embrace this, get to know folks that are different from us, and then start the learning from that point. But as long as we are blind to the other life, the LGBT life, the queer life, the trans life, not much can be done. So we really have to expand our friend group to become queer. How's that?
Thank
Can
you
you
for that.
hear all of
I think, can Jasmine speak now?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Wonderful. So just to introduce myself, my name's Jessamine Stanley. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm the author of Everybody Yoga. I am the founder of the Underbelly Yoga. I came out as a queer femme when I was 17, and my pronouns are she, her, they, them. And I really resonated with a lot of what was just said. It's so fascinating, frankly, I came out at a time when it was not trendy to be queer. And to put frankly, people feel much more comfortable with this conversation now than they did whenever I came out. And so it's been weird to watch that shift in time. It's been very interesting to go from seeing like my mother who cried when I came out and made it 100% like, what are we going to tell people? How are we going to move forward, to see her transition from that to this space of like, oh, acceptance, we can talk about these things. It's so weird to watch that happen. And it makes me really acutely aware of how crucial actually having conversations, not just with our community. I think it's very easy to be like, oh, like I need to read this book and I need to post about this topic or whatever. And we're seeing it a lot in this conversation about anti-Blackness and white supremacy. We're seeing a lot of like performative awareness, performative activism. And it's fascinating to see that truly none of that matters. All that matters is the work that we do within ourselves and how we reflect that to our immediate community. I think that the more that we can actually acknowledge our own internalized biases, why we are hateful toward other people, and that comes from a space of self-hate. I think that until that work is done, it's like putting a bandage on top of a deep infection. And but I think that these conversations are very important, and actually like getting to a place where everyone feels like their voice can be heard.
100%. This is an internal activity first. We have to really address it inside of ourselves before we go outside and help others. This is about really understanding that, for me at least, and I don't want to jump into the next question, but for me, so much of what you just said resonated. And I came up I'm 50 years old. So 50 years ago, queer was not a word full of love or possibility or even beauty. And now at 50, I embrace the term queer for its limitlessness, for its possibility, for a blueprint for the future, because it's the word for me, and words change all the time. So 50 years from now, it'll be something else. 10 years from now, it'll be something else. But for me today, the word queer is the word that holds the most freedom, And I don't want to be boxed in, nor does my child, nor do my children want to be boxed in to heteronormative rules or white supremacist rules or any rules, really. I think there's a moment right now where I think imagination and freedom are going to propel us into something we've never seen before, something better.
Thank you, both of you, for your answers. I think we're running a little bit short on time, so we're going to have to finish with the question, what do you guys think the statement, "the future is queer," really means to you? And what are your visions for the future with regards to inclusivity for the community?
To me, the future is queer means that the future is going to be inclusive of everything that we all are. I think that one of the problems with finding some space wherein everyone can find, quote, equality is that we don't actually treat each other as equals. Definitely, it can frequently feel like the LGBTQIA plus community is held as like a separate community from everybody else, that it's like there's everybody and then there's this special community, and that we need to be inclusive of this special community. And I think it's so crucial for us to understand that we're all one, and that if one of us suffers, then all of us suffer. And that until we acknowledge each person as being exactly as we are, that we have no future, we have no way of really doing the collective healing work that's needed for us to live in this embodied future of being queer. Yeah.
I was literally on that same page. My take on the future is queer is, it might sound very extra and radical for people, but for me, it is as inclusive as Black Lives Matter. Right? When we say Black Lives Matter, we mean that the most invisible has to come forward for all of us to really actualize this life. And when I say the future is queer, I mean that we are queer, we are trans, we are lesbian, we are intersex, we are bi, we are gay. We have to say the we so that we can all move together towards freedom, towards liberation, towards happiness. And John Lewis, who's a great civil rights activist, has always said, we are gay. He's a Black man, and he came up understanding that civil rights, that Black folks needed more visibility. He's also a Black man who can say, we are gay, we are trans. And I've learned that from him. This is a we thing. And until we can say the word queer with pride and beauty, we're not really doing the work. So we have to get that in our mouths, in our hearts. We are queer. And it doesn't take away from anyone. It just adds to the endless possibilities going forward.
I love that. I think that we have to continue to make the LGBTQ plus community safe for ourselves and safe for others. But luckily we have time for one more question. So I guess we'll keep going. So as you know, the Leadership Summit's mission statement is we need to talk. And there are a lot of girls and a lot of individuals out there who are still conflicted on their own identity and don't know how to either express themselves or talk to the ones that they love the most. So what advice would you give to people who are still discovering their own queerness and self-love and acceptance? And how do we as a whole continue to advocate for LGBTQ plus inclusivity?
I mean, honestly, I feel like the best thing, at least for me, is to just remember that the hard conversations are hard on purpose, that we're peeling back layers upon layers of identity to see this incredible light that flows from each of us. And I think that actually just being okay with the fact that, like, yeah, it's hard, you know, this is hard work, it's tough medicine, and that it's something for, I mean, because even if you even if it's just the process of accepting just yourself, not even thinking about how anyone else is going to feel about it, but like, because for all you know, like, everyone else in your life could be really chill and be like, I totally accept this about you. And usually I think that comes from a space of just being able to really accept it within yourself, and it's hard and it's complicated, and that's okay, and that's what you're built for as a human, and that it's excellent work for everything else that comes next. And I think that, you know, right now we're, especially now that hard conversations are becoming like a trending topic, I think that we're all fearful of saying the wrong thing and not getting it right and doing things wrong. And I just think that accepting that you will do it wrong, you will not always say what is, you will offend someone eventually, and that doesn't mean that you can't be an ally. It doesn't mean that you can't be present and show up for the people that you love, and really accepting that that work is the most important work.
I agree. This is hard work, right? Finding out who you are, understanding your own identity. This is what so many revolutionaries have talked about. The revolution will not be televised. It's an internal work, right? And that's hard work. And the thing that we are taught as women, as girls, to do is to please others, serve others. We are excellent at defining ourselves in relationship to others, but what we're talking about in this group today is the self-work, right? Defining yourself. And so one of the things to get us to the point, give yourself some time, but do what it takes to get to the point where you know yourself. Untether from expectation. It might be for 5 minutes, it might be for 5 days, but release yourself from all the things that mean so much to you. It might be your parents, it might be your spouse, it might be your grades or your school. You have to let those things go for 5 minutes so that you can just be yourself, unattached. That's helped me define myself. The other thing is, my father taught me this. You're not born to be pretty, you're born to be powerful. So when you start looking at yourself as an activist, a powerful person who can untether and then go right back to being around folks that they love, who has potential to change the world, who can say, I am king, I'm not queen, I'm king, because I own this body, who can play with words, who can shake up the system, who can not be status quo, but obliterate the normal. When you start thinking of yourself as powerful, the months and the years go by and all of a sudden you are who you are, and then the whole world can deal with it, right? So remember, you're not born to be pretty, you're born to be powerful.
Damn. That is a great way to end this panel. I just want to say a sincere thank you to both of you, as well as Trisha. This panel is so important, and we need to continue to have conversations like this. So all of those who are watching at home, please continue to do the work, continue to educate yourself, learn new terminology, and be inclusive and create new safe spaces, and donate to LGBTQ plus inclusivity and safe spaces. Do the work and put your money where your mouth is. So thank you guys so much once again. And thank you all who watched.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good day, guys.